All right. Okay. Back to my spiel about tires sizes. So when we're rolling down the road, if my tires were all perfectly the same size, ideally in a perfect world, that's what we want, right? And then I would adjust for road crown in my alignment. Life would be good. Okay. But that doesn't happen. We're going to have uneven wear, just like in this picture here. Okay. You're going to end up having some tires that are a little bit bigger than other tires. And I mean, this is exaggerated. It's probably something you won't necessarily see with your bare eyes, but you could. If it's a brand new tire versus one that's on its last legs ready to go out, you'll probably be able to see that with your naked eyes, right? Just think of how aggressive the tread is on a brand new tire versus what can a tire go down to on a trailer. I believe it's 1.2 millimeters of tread can be left on a trailer tire before it has to be changed. So very, very little, right? So if I have tires that go this way from smaller to bigger, where are those going to try to roll?
To the smaller side?
They sure are. If I have a cone like this, and I pushed it straight forward like that, I put a force on it, which way is it gonna roll? It's gonna start going that way, right? Does everybody agree?
Agree.
Yes. So this is why I would want to position my tires like this, because it'll turn the unit out of the ditch, or it'll counteract the slope going that way, which is pulling the unit into the ditch. Okay. Basically, that's why we would position our tires like that. So
if you had a set of duals that were out that much, what's going to happen is the weight is going to be, there's going to be more traction and weight on the outside tire in the set of duals. And it'll actually cause the smaller inside tire to scrub all the time when you drive, and you'll burn that smaller inside tire right off to the cords.
oh yeah, I don't doubt it. If you did this setup here,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't even think you would have one that's so vastly different either. Right off the get-go, like why you would be putting one that's brand new with one that's on its way out next to each other necessarily.
If you misread it and you put a 12-22.5 next to an 11R22.5, that would do it.
That'll do it immediately. Absolutely. Two different size tires. Yeah, that's very bad. So yeah, that's why reading that numbers on the side of the tire, very, very important. Another thing to keep in mind now is we have a new type of tire. Who's seen these? Super singles and new generation wide base single tires. These ones, new generation wide base single tires, or the super singles, the little bit older version of that. Who's seen those out there?
Rosno Transport has them.
Yes, Rosno has them. Yeah. For on highway, they use them. They replace a dually assembly, right? Instead of a traditional dual, you get a wider base tire. This is the new generation one. Super singles are a little bit smaller than that.
They're
What's
not
that?
good.
Oh, sorry, just one at a time. We had a couple there coming through.
I was wondering what's the advantage of that?
Um,
I used to work for Rosano, but I just I did repairs on those, but I never had the chance to ask what was the advantage of the duty and to this one.
Rolling resistance, the life of the tire, those tires will, the trailer tires with super singles will go 370,000 kilometers of life on those tires. The rolling resistance is a lot less, which accounts for better fuel economy as well.
Essentially, that's what I know is the rolling resistance, and that's because what it talks to me about here. There's a little bit weight savings too, because you have one rim, so you do lose like instead of having two rims each for one tire for one wheel end, you only have one rim, so it's a slight weight savings. It is a bigger rim, granted, but it's overall less weight than two rims. As far as I know as well, from what I've heard, there's better distribution of weight as well. So if you look, there's slightly more surface area on one of these than there is on two dualies. But yeah, that rolling resistance and the weight savings is the ones I know for sure. So, and then
They're not air brake system.
I'm sorry?
They're not air brake system. It was a fluid disc.
Oh, disc brakes? Yep.
Yep.
These with disc brakes. Rosno has lots of disc brakes. And yeah,
It was
the disc brakes are still air powered.
yeah, they are. Yeah, they are still air powered disc brakes. I think we're so used to, and I'm even so used to hearing it, air brakes, I immediately think drum brakes, and then you have to differentiate between disc. But yeah, there it is, air powered disc brakes, and that's what we'll be talking about here as well too. So underinflation, overinflation, and proper inflation. So what are you going to have if you start getting underinflation? Where is the wear going to happen on your tire?
On the edges.
Yeah, on the outside edges. That's just because when you're driving down the road, the weight is going to be pushing down out on the sidewalls. Not enough pressure to hold it up in here, so it's going to wear down on the outside edges. Essentially, your tread is going to start bending like this. As these flex out, this is going to want to pull up. Overinflation now. So you have way too much pressure in here. It's holding this tire really, really, really stiff. So instead of allowing these to be nice and flat and remain in contact with the road, it's actually starting to bow them out like a big overinflated balloon. So you'll have your wear, removing the middle section first. At a proper inflation pressure and proper loads, you should have nice, perfect, even contact with the road, which allows for even wear to happen as well. Another type of system that you have to watch out for, and actually it's common on these super singles and ones that go off-road too, is a tire pressure monitoring system or a tire inflation system. There's a few different versions of those around.
Is that the Tire Boss?
That might be a brand name of it. There's a couple, they do different things. They look the same. There's some where you can adjust the pressure in your tires, and that's for things like traction in different conditions. There's some where they just monitor okay, I guess there are hydraulic brakes at the ones at Rosno as well. So, and there, we'll talk about this too. Clint talks about hydraulic brakes. They are appearing more and more for us in heavy equipment. It's becoming more of a thing, and sometimes you'll actually use air over hydraulic and to control these things. And yeah, anyhow, the tire inflation systems do a few different things. So one of them is for adjusting what your pressure is, and that'll just adjust your ground pressure, so traction, things like that, trying to get out of sticky situations. The other one is to actually maintain tire pressure. So as you're operating, right, a tire has a certain amount of pressure at a certain temperature. You start running it all day. You go from a cold climate to a hot climate, the pressure inside of everything changes, and so it's going to adjust that very slightly. Some people say that those systems are supposed to stop a leak, but they're not. They won't give enough air. If you have a tire leak, they won't just keep the tire full of air. If it's a very, very small leak, they might be able to, but that system isn't designed, neither of them are designed to run continuously. They're designed to run short periods of time as needed, essentially. So
Are those ones you're talking about on trucks or trailers as well?
you can have them on trailers as well. The tractor ones, so usually the ones that you can adjust for ground pressure is on a tractor. The ones that are going to be for monitoring the actual tire pressure and trying to keep it the same pressure all the time are going to be what's on a trailer, is what I've seen. And then we're just talking about tire rotation, the way we rotate tires. Obviously, steer tires cannot go on drive axles. Drive axle tires can't go on a steer. So if we're going to be rotating tires, we need to make sure to keep the steers on the steer axle, go from side to side, unless they're directional, in which case then they can't be rotated on the steer axle unless it's a twin steer. Anyhow, more and more different types of units. And then if we're going to rotate the tires on the drive axles, this is how we're going to rotate them. I've always found that the tires that wear out the quickest on a tractor are these ones or these ones. I've always found. I don't know if anyone's out seeing that, but that's just my experience. All right. So we're going to go for, let's just take a 15-minute break and come back at, or we'll take a 20-minute break, the usual. Come back at 10:15. I'm going to leave all this running still.